Assalamu alaikum students. I hope that you will be in good health. We have done our present continuous tense and we have also learned how to make the passive of present continuous tense. Today we will talk about past continuous tense and we will learn how to make the passive of past continuous tense. But first let's see what is past continuous tense. Past continuous tense talks about an ongoing action of the past time. Past continuous tense उस एक्शन की बात करता है जो जारी हो लेकिन past time में, माजी में. Now let's see some examples of past continuous tense. Our first example is the enemy was crossing the river. And our second sentence is doctors were feeling the pulse of the patient. And our last sentence is they were repairing the house. So these three sentences, they are the example of past continuous tense. Now we will see how to make the sentences of past continuous tense. These are your active sentences, as I explained to you in my first lesson what is the difference between active and passive sentences. In active sentences, we write the subject before the verb. In other words, you can also say that in active sentences, we put our emphasis basically on the subject. We give focus, we put our focus on the subject in active sentences. So now we will learn how to make the active sentences of past continuous tense. So to make the sentences of past continuous tense, you will follow that given structure. First, you will write the subject, one who is performing the action, जो action को perform कर रहा है, that is called your subject. First, you will write the subject. After the subject, you will use the helping verbs. They would be was and were, and you will use them according to your subject. If your subject is singular, you will use was. If your subject is plural, you will use were. But with the you, we use were. After the helping verb, you will use fourth form of the verb. Fourth form means ing form. Like eat to eating, play to playing, and at the end, you will write object. So this is how we make the sentences of past continuous tense. Now let's see some examples. Ahmad was buying books. So this is your sentence of past continuous. And to make the sentences of past continuous tense, first we write the subject. Ahmad is your subject. After the subject, we write the helping verb and we use it according to the subject. So our subject is singular Ahmad, that's why we will use was with it. Ahmad was. After the helping verb, we use fourth form. Ahmad was buying books. Our next sentence is the enemy was crossing the river. So to make the sentences of past continuous, first you will write subject. The enemy is your subject. After that you will write the helping verb. Was is your helping verb and we use it according to the subject. Because your subject is singular, that's why we will use was here. The enemy was crossing. Crossing is your fourth form and at the end you will write the object. The enemy was crossing the river. Our last sentence is doctors were feeling the pulse of the patients. So this is also your sentence of past continuous tense. As I explained to you, past continuous tense, it talks about an ongoing action of the past. ये उस action की बात करता है जो जारी तो हो लेकिन past time में जारी हो. So to make the sentences of past continuous tense, first we write the subject. Doctors, this is your subject. After that we have a helping verb and now we know it, we use it according to the subject. Because subject is plural, that's why we used were here. Doctors were. After that you are supposed to use fourth form of the verb. Doctors were feeling, and at the end you are supposed to write the object. Doctors were feeling the pulse of the patients. So this is how we make the sentences of past continuous tense, active sentences. I explained to you active sentences are those in which we write the subject before the verb. Now class, we will see how we are supposed to make the passive voice of past continuous tense. So first you must have an idea what is past continuous tense, you must have an idea what is a passive sentence. As I explained to you in my first lesson that passive sentences are those sentences in which you can say that we write the subject after the verb, or in other words you can say that we put our emphasis on the object. पैसिव जुमले वो होते हैं जिनमें आप सब्जेक्ट को वर्ब के बाद लिखते हैं, या आप ये भी कह सकते हैं कि पैसिव सेंटेंसेस वो हैं जिनमें हमारा ज़्यादा फोकस जो है वो ऑब्जेक्ट पर होता है. सो लेट्स सी हाउ टू मेक द passive voice of past continuous tense. To make the passive of past continuous tense, you are supposed to follow that given structure. To make the passive of past continuous tense, first you will write the object. An object in most cases is present after the verb. ज़्यादातर cases में आपके verb के साथ ही object present होता है. So to make the passive of past continuous tense, first you will write the object. After the object you will use the helping verbs. There would be was or were, and you will use them according to the object. If object is singular you will use was, if object is plural you will use were. After was and were you are supposed to use being, and then you will use third form of the verb. Two things are very common in passives. Whenever you make a passive voice of any sentence, you are supposed to write the object first and third form of the verb. So after being you will use third form, and at the end you will write subject with the help of by. Now let's see our first sentence. The enemy was crossing the river. This is your sentence of past continuous, and it is a sentence of active voice because your subject is before the verb. Now let's change it into passive voice. To make the passive of past continuous, first you are supposed to write the object. So can you identify where is the object? Yes, the river. So first you will write the river, and then you are supposed to write the helping verb. The river was, because the river is singular, your object is singular, that's why you will use was would it. The river was, then you are supposed to use being. The river was being. In passive we use third form. Crossing is your fourth form and third form is crossed. The river was being crossed by the enemy. So this is how we make the passive of past continuous tense. First we write the object. The river is your object. Then we write the helping verb. Was is your helping verb. After that we use being. In passives we use third form, and in passive voice we write the subject at the end. The enemy is your subject. Now let's see the next example. They were repairing the houses. This is your sentence of past continuous tense, and this is a sentence of active voice because your subject they, it is present before the verb. Now let's see how we are supposed to change it into the passive. First, to make the passive of past continuous tense, you will write the object. So can you identify the object? Yes, the houses. The houses. Your object is plural, that's why you will use were with it. The houses were. After the helping verb, you are supposed to use being. The houses were being. In passive voice, we use third form. The houses were being repaired by them. Now you can ask me, sir, why did you use them here? आपने them क्यों लगाया? They क्यों नहीं लगाया इधर? Because they is our subject. So they is only used at the start of sentence. This is your subjective pronoun. ये सिर्फ जुमले के शुरू पे आता है. So we do not use it at the end. At the end of sentence we write them. So I replaced they with them because them is our objective pronoun. Objective pronoun वो है जो जुमले के end पे आता है. They is subjective pronoun, जुमले के start पे आता है. Them is objective pronoun, ये जुमले के end पे आता है. So once more, let's see how to make the passive of past continuous tense. First you will write the object, then you will use the helping verbs was or were according to the object. If object is singular you will use was, and if object is plural you will use were. After the helping verbs you will use being. and then you are supposed to use third form of the verb, and at the end you will write subject. So this is how we make the passive of past continuous tense. Inshallah, in next lesson, in lesson number 4, I will explain to you how you are supposed to make the passive of negative and interrogative sentences of past continuous tense. This is your home task. You are supposed to change these sentences of past continuous tense into passive wise. There are 3 sentences. I hope you will practice them. Inshallah, I will see you next video. Assalamu alaikum.